The Thing was my first studio movie.
This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation.
I think it's a far better sci-fi concept than anything else I've ever seen.
We've got to burn the rest of them.
Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired. You gotta be kidding.
I am the writer-director of The Thing Expanded. It's the ultimate documentary, telling the story of The Thing in unbelievable amounts of detail, depth, passion, heart, all the things I genuinely feel for this film.
And here he is, head director and writer.
You just stared at my own face.
Something very familiar about all this. But welcome, Sam.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're probably sick of hearing the word "the thing." Are you, or not
no?
Yet?
It's all right. You know, you kind of get to that stage where you wonder whether you've got anything sort of fresh to keep saying. But the thing is so kind of, in some ways, impenetrable. You know, that there's always something fresh and interesting to dig up about it. So
exactly, yeah. Because I'll start with my first thing. Have you read the novelization?
I've not. The Alan Dean Foster one.
Yeah.
Because, I spoke to Alan Dean Foster when we did Aliens Expanded. I did talk to Alan Dean Foster. And, he was fascinating, and a slightly cynical man about the sort of process of novelizations.
Right.
And how you always worked off an early draft of the screenplay. So I'm wondering whether, with the novelization of The Thing, is it clear he worked off an earlier draft, and is it quite different?
Yes. It's there's a PDF, well, not PDF, a book style on the archive.org, so you can look at it there. Or someone's made an AI audiobook on YouTube, which is what I listened to today. It's about 8 hours.
Yeah.
We're just reading the basic text, but it's mostly the same. There's a lot of different deaths to people.
Yeah. And there's a good reason why that is, in that halfway through production, John Carpenter worried he was making a slasher movie. And obviously clearly didn't want to do that, didn't want to repeat Halloween. He didn't want to do a slasher movie in the snow, and radically rewrote the screenplay in mid-production. So Bennings, who probably dies differently in the book, got a new death sequence. And I think Fuchs as well. They sort of reworked. So that was all done sort of midway through. So the shooting draft, where Alan Dean Foster was probably working from, was not correct to the final film. It's the dangers of novelizations. But I'm surprised they haven't sort of updated this since.
No.
Gone back and re-edited. I had 40 years now to kind of correct that.
Yeah, because it is, like you say, it's off the shooting script. They had a lot of bigger ideas. The whole ending is different as such. Well, the ending scene is the same, but getting to the end and what they do with the monster and all that is different.
Yeah, I think it's just, there were physical limitations to what they could do. And I think, again, this idea that the film was being a bit familiar. And there was sort of idea, when they shot a death scene with Bennings in which he's stabbed in the ear with a screwdriver. Is that the one in the book? I don't know.
No.
Is it a Skidoo one? Is it him on a sort of a... Yes. So that they couldn't afford to film. Literally, they did a sound stage, they built it, they storyboarded it, they planned everything. And then it's going to cost like $1.5 million or something. And they simply couldn't budget to it. So then they did one where Bennings is stalked by a figure and he stabs him, throws him over a sort of barbed wire fence or some kind of fence, stabs him in the ear with a screwdriver. And that was filmed. But then they realized that it was a dishonest scene because the killer covers his face. And why would the thing need to cover his face? you know, in those circumstances. So actually, the point was, you know, they only covered his face so the audience would know who it was. And they thought, well, that's not honest to how we're making this film. So that's why they eventually did the third death of George Bennings, where he's, you know, surrounded by the guys and burnt and in those sequences. So there is a reason why, you know, there's quite a lot of last minute surgery or even surgery midway through production that changed the whole direction of the original screenplay. So it's interesting that the novelization sort of is a different version of the film in a sense.
It is. It starts off the same. The Norwegians turn up, they go, and then different characters go different places. And of course, Windows isn't called Windows because the actor chose that name later on. Yeah, Sanders. Sanders.
Because he was Sanchez, and they cast Thomas Waits and called him Sanders or whatever. And he said it's the most boring name he could think of. And so he came up with Windows himself. He wanted to wear the shades and go, hey, everybody, I want to be called Windows. That was his idea. But it shows you how much films are sort of altered in the making. You know, what's interesting about novelizations often is that you're going into it, you know, it's a very different film that comes out of it. And it's, you know, circumstances, it's money, it's control, and often it's narrative. They just look at it and go, hey, this isn't working, or this isn't the film we want to make. And lots of adjustments are made in the snow. So it's good that it exists. I like the fact that
it was a fun read, finding out, hang on, where's this going now? It's like, they go off on a skidoo chase in the middle of it.
And it's the dogs, isn't it? It's a mutated dog. And they get
dogs bugger off,
I do know of it. And we do cover it in the doc, how it all changes. And there was kind of like, some of the actors were like, we did better scenes, you know, scenes were moved outdoors from indoors. And they're a bit like, well, why would you have these long discussions in -40 conditions? It's like we're all debating what the thing is and outside in the snow. And it's meant to be -40. You're a bit like, it's not wholly logical, is it? But it looked cool, though.
It looked cool, yeah. It does look cool. It's so well lit. Because you got Dean Cundy to talk about it as well.
Yeah, he's great. And it's a film, I think, the more you watch it, the better it looks. You know, it's kind of, you forget, you know, there's such a great contrast between the kind of, I wouldn't say sort of municipal, but rather sort of functional, utilitarian interiors with those kind of grey walls and those kind of really kind of mythic exteriors, that lovely blue light, you know, that sort of glows across the ice and snow. It's a real contrast between environments in which, and then there's kind of the thing itself sort of brings a lighting change and, you know, a whole load of kind of different colors. But
having by flares or fire or lights.
It's a lot of nuance in how it looks that it's not often praised for. You don't think it's a handsome film, but it really is.
Because or is it one of the things about modern films is they're just too well lit and too everywhere. There's no shadows anymore and it's all shiny. You don't see the other thing. And
just it tends to look a bit synthetic. The other thing is that they built the set so the walls wouldn't move. So they couldn't cheat it. So they had to move the cameras around corners and along corridors with the physical limitation of the base. That was Carpenter said, I don't want it to be kind of movie magic. I want it to be as hard as it would be as a documentary. You know, I want the camera to have to deal with the claustrophobia, because then you feel the walls as oppressive. They're right down on top of you.
Oh, yeah. So, definitely works. Because do you think he had all these things visioned that it's a bit ambiguous about who's the thing and when and who's there when he made it, or is it just
some of that I think came from this, you know, some of it comes from the original short story, you know, Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. Some of it comes, I think, from Bill Lancaster's screenplay, but that's closer to the novelization because that's what he wrote. And some of it I think just comes from, you know, Carpenter realizing that the film gets more powerful the less you show, you know, the mechanics of how the creature operates, you know, how it takes over people is really limited visually. Most of it happens off screen.
Yeah.
So there's the sense of, and Carpenter will constantly say this film isn't about the monster, it's about paranoia. The monster is just the kind of device that brings paranoia. And so if you want paranoia, you've got to deny the audience the knowledge. They've got to feel like, you know, they can't trust what's going on. They can't trust the cast. Hold on, are they taken?
Yeah.
And that way the nervousness grows, the fear grows. So in a sense, there's two films going on. There's the film we watch, and there's the film that's going on off screen. You know, this other version of the thing where you can see what Blair's up to, and you can see what Norris and Palmer, you can see who gets to the blood and all those things.
Yeah.
But that's all denied us, so that the film sort of stays alive and sort of just us not knowing and debating it constantly.
Yeah, because it's been going, 4 years now. And
44 years, yeah, because it was 82. So it'll be, this June, it'll be 44 years. So
when did you first see it?
I saw it at the age of 15.
Right.
And I think it's around about 84.
Right.
And I saw it, like you were sort of showing me earlier, I saw it on VHS. I bunked off sports day at school.
There's my
yeah. And I drove to a friend's house, and his dad had this mysterious, wondrous object called a VHS player, size of a rabbit hutch, clunky as the noises it made, but it was just an amazing thing. And he had two tapes. He had Alien and he had The Thing, and we watched them both. And honestly, that day changed my life. I didn't quite realize it at the time, and I got away with it because we got back to sports day and it was still going on. So we got away with Bunker Sports Day as well. So it was just a win all round.
Was. That's, yeah. I just stayed. Well, I went to the first 2 sports days and then lost on the first year, just sat on the grass eating ice cream the second time and then just never bothered going again. But no, I wasn't missed because I wasn't any good at running or anything.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think we were sort of obliged to take part, but once you got to a certain level, you didn't care if you didn't. It's like turn a blind eye to, oh, Nathan.
Yeah, first year, everyone's in.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Check this javelin.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think I saw it on VHS as well, but I was probably trying to think of the 9. It just came out in rental. I think an older boy who was a friend of the family sort of thing, staying with his family, and then he had Halloween 2, The Thing, and Apocalypse Now, I think it was.
Wow.
And
so,
yeah, I think I made it to the cow death in Apocalypse Now, the razor blade in the mouth in Halloween 2, and the chest opening in The Thing. Then I was done until another 10, 15 years later until I saw it again.
Yeah. It is a lot. I remember because we saw The Thing first and Alien second.
Right.
And I don't think we really gave Alien its due. I think we were so kind of knocked out by The Thing, so kind of blown away by what we'd just seen. We didn't almost have the energy to deal with Alien properly. I don't think we concentrated hard enough because we're sort of going, what did we just watch? What has just happened? And so I think Alien sort of happened a bit later in terms of when I caught up with that. But it had a massive impact on me, The Thing. It really is. And we use this word too easily, but it really is unforgettable.
Yeah.
It's just one of those film experiences where it just, whatever you feel about it, you're not going to forget it. You everything about it. Everybody, I've spoken to even casually about the documentary. Have gone, the dog at the beginning, the chair, something like bringing it back really easily. And you think, this film is just incredibly memorable. All the images and the way it's done.
But are people still blaming E.T. and Blade Runner for its failure?
Yeah, less so Blade Runner. I think. We talk about this in the documentary a bit. People forget how huge E.T. was. And I don't just mean in terms of box office returns. It became a kind of phenomenon, certainly in America, where the hold it had on audiences was such that they just wanted to go back again. They didn't want to release that feeling. So when other films came out, Tron, Blade Runner, and eventually The Thing, they just didn't want to. I'm sure they're good, but I just want to do E.T. a bit more. I want E.T. again. And they weren't willing to relinquish that. So these poor films came in, dark films, complicated films. I always think that Universal, why is this a summer film? It's set in the snow. It's a dark film. It's it's got a kind of cynical worldview. If you release it in October, November in the same year, I think you'd get a good hearing. I think you'd get people feeling that's much more the time to do it. I think they really mistimed it.
Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of critics were mixed at the time. I think it's just because Ebert, only one of them liked it, and
they damned it, you know, many of them. It was a kind of a time, there was still a hangover amongst critics, even in the States at that time, where they were a bit elitist and they thought it was their job to protect some kind of higher ideal of cinema. And if a film was a genre piece, therefore it had to be a B movie. You know, they couldn't accept that it was more than that. If it had special effects, especially gory special effects, it was vulgar, you know, it was beneath them. So they couldn't get past the creature. They couldn't get past this kind of extraordinary thing to see how well it was put together, how beautiful it is, how well acted it is, you know, and how thematically rich it is about paranoia and society and about, you know, the Cold War and all the things you can read into it. And they couldn't see how nuanced and clever the whole creature device was, you know, that it kind of mimicked and it played around with DNA and, you know, that it traveled the universe and it had all this stuff in it. And that just completely, you know, was lost on these critics who frankly savaged it. We got Guillermo del Toro in the doc.
Yes.
And he's brilliant. He just goes, you know, I saw it opening day in Mexico with some friends. He goes, and everybody in that cinema hated it, but me. But me. And I think there's a kind of beauty in the fact that he said, I felt like this film was made for me and no one else, you know.
Right.
And I think a lot of Thing fans over the years sort of have that feeling that this is for us. We don't care that you lot don't like it, or it wasn't like it belongs to us and we cherish it, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's a growing number of people now, but I think there is that feeling that because it failed at the beginning, certainly in sort of financial terms, that makes it more precious to us. That, you know, we get it, the other people didn't. You know, we understand, John. We get it.
Because it took about 20 years for it to take off more than a cult film and
I mean,
regarded for what it is.
You know, it took, I think, film, you being able to watch film again. It took that idea of you can rewind and check things out. Yeah, you know, because when they obviously made the film, they didn't expect repeat viewings.
No.
So a lot of the kind of there was no Easter egg mentality. There's no kind of, you know, cleverness going on in cinema. People just sort of went to the cinema and saw what they saw. And I think it took that evolution of film to be something that became far more personal through home entertainment, through you know, the world you're sitting in, you know, took over, where we started to understand films could be like albums, you know, they could be part of our lives, a constant companion, not a one-off. They were something that we kind of had along, you know, they became friends to us, that you felt kind of down, you go, I just put on The Thing tonight to cheer myself up.
I'm going to sleep tonight.
Oh, yeah. You know, I just, you know, you want to feel better about life. Oh, watch The Thing.
Yeah, it could be worse. I could be there. But yeah, I think it was, what is it? Probably the 2-disc special edition DVD, didn't it? Come out probably about 2002, and the game, the sequel game.
Yeah, it just, I think then it was sort of understood that there was a Laserdisc, which I think had a lot, contributed greatly to the film's kind of renewal. And that has a commentary that Carpenter and Russell did together, in which Russell basically laughs the whole way through. You know, he just finds it hilarious. And that became a sort of cult item. And then you're right, when the kind of the special editions got released, and it just, you know, it became a film that felt you're present and sort of credible in a way that you thought, we can revisit this film, we can go back to it. And sort of even Universal probably thought, well, this is now an ever ready in our library. This isn't a flop, you know, a forgotten, even a cult film. It's become a very current title. So they probably reissued it 100 times since, you know, and they revisited it with a prequel, and they did lots of different things in the game.
Oh, yeah.
I think, it's become, you know, it's become part of the canon. It's become a classic, if you want. It's changed completely what was going on with it.
Yeah, because my VHS, it's terrible picture. It's 4:3. It's really bright picture. It's really grainy, and then you see the DVD, and it's like night and day, literally. So
it's like, you know, it's like the Blair monster at the end. I think only on DVD did we realise that it's half Blair's head. It's blurry.
Yeah, it's like Is that a dog? Is
I
that
don't know, there's something going on there? Like, oh, it's Blair, you know.
But yeah, then we're up to 4K now, so
Yes. I mean, you've got to get, I suppose 4K is enough. Because the danger is the more resolution it gets, that Bottin's effects might be revealed as too much.
that is the worst thing about HD.
Yeah.
Seeing different colorization on the prosthetics and stuff like that of other horror films.
You'll see the limitations they were working with
Yeah.
in a way you don't want to.
But yeah, I'm doing a video comparison of the VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K. So the DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K look very similar, just colored timings and differences and brightness, slight brightness on different versions. But yeah, the VHS is not worth watching.
No, it's a nostalgia thing, isn't it?
Yeah, some of the older ones are. I've done ones where it's a darker picture and less is revealed and all this. And...
It hold paws down and it's going, it's like juddering.
Yes. But speaking of Russell, how did you find out that you got him? You secured him because you pretty much done and had to.
It's not a very glamorous story. It's a very pragmatic one. You negotiate with his people,
right?
And it took a long time. Partly because he shot 2 television series in 2025. Monarch, and he's got a new Yellowstone show coming out, and they're long productions.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was down to his availability physically. When has he got the time? And I think certainly his people are very protective of that. Yeah. Like during a production, he won't do anything else. And so we were sort of waiting out what was happening with those 2 series, which is one of the reasons. And of course, you're not told all this. You're not given Kurt's doing this, and this. We'll talk about it then. You're just kept hanging. You just hope, you send emails and make calls. Go, any news? And then you go, no news. And there was a little bit of, certainly for the first couple of months, where we had to convince him that we were credible. He's like, who are you? He hasn't done many long form interviews about the thing for years. He did it a few, obviously, when the film came out, and obviously, the Laserdisc. But apart from when he's interviewed about other things and they mention the thing, he hasn't really talked about it. So it was quite a rarity to kind of get him and convince him. A lot of it was down to John was involved, and John was at the heart of it. And once he knew that, I think he understood it and he wanted to do it. And then it was just sort of waiting out his priority list. And we learned sort of in December.
Oh, right.
That he, might be free in January. You always get this. This is how it works. He might be available. You never get any kind of confirmation until the final minute. And that can then become, how about this day? How about that day? You stop.
Right.
And they, because I'm UK based, I had to fly to LA to do it. So they had to factor that in a bit. But they weren't, he was nice enough to work around me a little bit.
Oh, no.
Within reason. It wasn't like they said, this is the morning and that's that. They gave us a date and I couldn't get there in time. So they said, okay, let's do it this day. They were quite flexible. And then we got a whole morning with him. And some of that setting up and stuff. But we got a great 2-hour interview with him. And it was great in the sense, though you wouldn't wish it to have to wait. There's a great sense of culmination, that we've been on this really long journey and got all these different voices, and then to finish with Kurt. Just felt fitting, it felt perfect. It's like, right, now we are what we need to be. Now the documentary has sort of come to life.
Yeah, because I interview filmmakers and actors and stuff on here, and it's until the minute they turn up on the screen here, it's like, is this going to happen?
Until you see the whites of their eyes, you never know.
And audio and video is fine, and
and you have to trust in the end. And it's funny. He just kind of he had no entourage. He had no kind of assistants. We were in this kind of quite small studio space in LA where my DOP works. And Kurt Russell just walked in the door. We had the door open and he walked. Hi guys, right, what's happening? Here we go. Oh, right, he's here. It was so kind of low key. It was all about
Captain Ron.
He didn't shout that out.
Hey, Swaps. I love Captain Ron. But I've never heard a bad word said against him, so that's good.
Yeah, he's very professional. And I always think that's good. He knows what the situation requires, and he's not there to make buddies. I mean, he's lovely. You know, he was really nice to us, but it wasn't about hanging out with us. It was about getting the job done and getting in front of the camera. And I'm conscious of that because the clock's ticking. As soon as he walks in that door, the clock is ticking.
Right.
So he's the value he is ultimately isn't me chatting to him backstage. You know, the value is in front of the camera. So I obviously had to be made up and camera ready. That took about 20 minutes, and then we got him straight in front of the camera and we got going, and that was what was important. Ultimately.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, look forward to seeing that. Because before we talk about anything else in the future, you've done the Aliens Expanded.
Yeah.
So you had everyone from that you could. Was it Sigourney Weaver
and Cameron and all the living cast? You know,
all the living cast of that. Yeah. And then now you've done this one with John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. Is that going to make it easier going forward, or is that?
I don't know. You can't count your blessings. You can't be arrogant. You would hope so. I think we've got calling cards. We can go to people and go, look, this is what it is. But that does mean to say that automatically opens doors. I think these are long roads. We're sort of umming and awing a bit in a good way about maybe doing the Terminators in the future. And I think we're well aware that we need Cameron on board. You know, even if the interview doesn't happen straight away, we need his blessing to get going. Because if he doesn't do it, you can't go back. I can't put a Terminator Expanded out there without Cameron now. So I hope so. He likes Aliens Expanded. He appreciates what we did. It was a great interview. So in terms of that, I would hope we'll go. Once you say yes, I'll do it, then I can go to all the other people and start getting that ball rolling. Arnie, especially, and do that. But we haven't quite finished the thing yet. Still tinkering. So, to do 1 and 2 Terminator, it's do we do 2 parts? Do we do a double documentary? We haven't quite figured it all out yet.
Yeah, it's probably a big whiteboard somewhere with notes and stuff written on it.
Yeah, and I've done a rough synopsis, and it really is, this huge synopsis, and I took it to my producer Robin, and I said, "What do you think?" And he goes, "I think it needs to be bigger." He just went, "Let's just do 2." Thing Expanded is now 5 hours long.
Yeah,
I think Robin wants to do Terminator 1, Terminator 2, parts 1 and 2, each 5 hours. That we'll do one production, but we'll do 2 films. But as I say, a lot of bridges to cross before we're there. But that's kind of the idea.
But because I think everyone doesn't mind the length of them. Just like people these days, they say won't watch anything longer than a minute on a reel or a TikTok. But
I mean, the big
fans will happily sit for this
television
5
series,
hours.
all the time. And it's sort of what we realized. It wasn't that we thought, we're going to make mega long documentaries. The structure, the format of taking the film and breaking it down and sort of following the path of the film, inevitably made the documentary longer. It just did it, automatically. That if you're going to explore all these different parts of this one film, that's going to be twice the length of the film at the very least. The film's 2 hours. You're going to be 4 hours. So it was almost a matter of physics.
Yes.
Plus, people go, as they have done, and they said, "Oh, it's really indulgent." I go, exactly. It's completely indulgent. We're indulging you.
This is the last time these people might be talking about this.
We're just going to hang out for a long time. You don't have to watch it all at once. It's up to you how you watch it. It's designed to be on your shelf and to live with you forevermore. And watch it however you want to watch it. And I think, yes, very indulgent, but that's exactly the point.
Well, I was disappointed the Aliens one. You didn't get the Tea Ladies version of the story.
No, I think she isn't with us anymore. I couldn't verify. I couldn't even get a name.
You didn't check.
I did try and track down a name, but I could not get one. And I think just doing the math, thinking, not tea ladies, but I tend to think they probably were of a mature age, at the time at Pinewood, and maybe she probably hadn't made it all the way through. When Cameron says amusingly, maybe I should apologise to the family of the tea lady, track them down. But,
that might lead to reparations and all sorts of legal.
it's all, if you in some ironic universe you did find the tea lady, and that's a lot of effort for probably very little part of the documentary.
Yes,
she's not going to talk about kind of Giga designs, and she's not going to talk about the APC or Hudson. She's not going to fill other elements of the documentary.
I didn't realise there was a film going on. I was just delivering the tea.
Sticky buns and cups of tea at 4 o'clock. That was my job.
So let's have a look. So how long have you been working on this since its initial idea now?
I think probably almost to the month. It's 2 years. Okay. So we began as Aliens was being finished and synopsis was being put together then.
Right.
And the first forays to who we would interview were being worked on around about sort of March 24. Right. The first, so you can say that's pre-production. Production began in August. Our first interview was John Carpenter in sort of mid-August. And then after that, it's sort of in the autumn, it really sort of galloped into sort of getting all the interviews done.
Yeah.
And then they stretched through 25. And we had, you kind of, after about, say, 10 or 15 interviews, you start putting rough edits together.
Right.
And assembling it with the knowledge that a lot more interviews are coming. So it becomes a very sort of very vague outline of how it's going to be. But you start to see how it's working. And then by autumn 25, we had an assembly, which is sort of film. That was the story. Obviously, it still lacked Kurt and a few others. That were just the last few pieces. But that, and we tested the assembly with the kind of sense that this is far from finished, but this is the story we're telling. And what do you think? And we got a very favourable response to even the rough assembly. Okay. I mean, they all said, you need Kurt. And we said, we know. It's kind of happening. And thankfully, that did come to pass. So, it's a good process because you put the assemblies together and you think, well, when I'm going to interview Kurt, I know exactly where he's going. I know exactly what I need to ask him. Right. So I need him there and I need him on that. You can adapt, of course. Kurt will say something unexpected, and right, that's new. But I had an idea in my head exactly where I was going to put him in, and interview in that direction. So you can then go, okay. There's a whole storyline about the sombrero, the mad hat that MacReady wears. Oh yeah, I had everybody on it. Carpenter talked about it, and the producer talked about it, and Larry Franco, the associate producer, talked about it, and he was Kurt's brother-in-law at one time. They're best friends. And he was laughing about it. So I just kind of nice chain. And I needed my punchline, which was Kurt Russell himself, and he was great on it. He just gave me the last little piece. And it becomes a lovely little kind of piece within the documentary. The story of the sombrero.
Very important. Everyone goes, "Why is he wearing a sombrero?"
I mean, it answers that question. But this, let's just say this, that Carpenter realized that when everybody's outside and they've all got goggles on and hoods up, they all look the same. You can't tell them apart. So he needed to be able to tell MacReady apart. What better way than a big hat?
Excellent. Do you ever read the reviews of the documentaries you do?
Yeah,
notes.
From the it's bad quite funny. You do obviously all the good ones are lovely and very encouraging. Especially you do test screenings and you do assemblies and. But my editor Samuel Way, obviously we work very closely with each other. He very much enjoys going on Letterboxd and finding the bad reviews and sending them to me. He goes, look, here's another one, and I'm like, oh, thanks. You're usually going on about how long and indulgent it all is. And, I hated that. And he's like, another one
looks so old now.
But it's not. When you read. They're not ridiculously negative ones, but you read some, you can learn from it. You can get a sense of, people go, I don't understand that. That's the thing I always look for. You sort of show it in rough forms, or you look at negative reviews. If someone doesn't like something, that's they're up to them. But if someone doesn't understand something, if they're confused, that I think is the problem. You know, that means you haven't communicated correctly. People go, I didn't understand what this was or this bit was about. I have to stop and go, okay, clearly I can understand it. It's not communicating. So they're the ones you're looking for. It's the I'm confused by this kind of responses. And then you sort of hopefully get a chance to fix accordingly. But we'll see. I like what I've done with the thing. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but I think it's a better film than Aliens Expanded. And I really like Aliens Expanded. I just think I learned lessons and I've applied them. And I think the thing itself helps as well. It's a more mysterious film. So it's a little bit more noodling that can be done about the storyline, you know, who is what when and who's the shadow on the wall and who is who at the end and all that kind of stuff. That is a gift to the expanded format. So I think that all helps. And yeah, I think we cracked some things with the thing that, you know, whatever the next film might be in the series will apply again. You know, you everything has to kind of get better, you know, otherwise you're not gaining, you know, you're not progressing.
Hang on, let's highlight that question. When's the Doctor actually coming out then? Was it March 24th, was it?
Yeah, it's we haven't got a firm date.
Okay.
Because I am still fiddling a little bit, just trimming the end. Nothing major. But the digital delivery, which is the first part of the rollout, is the end of April. So be toward the end of April. And then the physical one, the Blu-rays and the goodies and all that kind of stuff, they'll start at the end of May. So there's a processing time where things have to be put in boxes and, you know, assembled in a warehouse and physically sent out in, you know, via the post. So it's a good old fashioned, you know, labor required.
Not hand delivered by you personally saying.
Not me.
I'll sit and watch it with you and point things out for you.
Yes, you know, we always joke that we could do a kind of top tier level of kind of, you know, investment in the thing, which I have to go around to the house, watch it with you, and have tea and like discuss the film afterwards with you.
You've only got Baldwins, have you? Okay, right. And also, is it region-free Blu-ray?
It is, yes.
Yeah,
so yes, you will be able to. Obviously, it's in the English language because no one speaks other languages, and I think we don't have Norwegian subtitles. I'm sorry about that. I'm sure your English is impeccable because it always is. But we will have German and Spanish subtitles on it. So
there you go. So you've done a lot of interviews in your vast career.
I have.
Did you interview Clint Eastwood in about 2017?
God, I did. I did 2017. No, a bit earlier than that. I did him.
Okay.
I did him. I must be something like 2005, 2006.
Okay, I think the article just got released on probably 2017 when I saw it.
Probably. It was sort of like, it was a Warner Brothers anniversary. It was like, I don't know, 150 years of Warner Brothers or something, 100 years of Warner Brothers probably. And he agreed to do a set of interviews just to praise Warner Brothers. And I just did a career retrospective with him.
Right.
And it was great. You know, he was everything you want Clint to be. Very personable, you know. And you know, not difficult, you know, not you know, he's not one to kind of be grandiose about himself. It's just a movie. We did this, you know. He can be a bit kind of, and there's a danger with that. You know, it's all very well. It's lovely to meet sort of people who are humble, but sometimes humble can be bad copy. You know, it can be dull copy. You want a bit of kind of, let me tell you some stories. A bit of, he did do that, but you can't translate that voice onto the page. You need the stories and the kind of the excitement to go with it. Yeah, it was amazing. He's Clint Eastwood, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, I've interviewed a load of stunt people that work with him all the time. They just love him, and of course, he finishes his day by like 5 p.m. and everyone loves him. They could go home to their house. And...
Oh yeah, I mean, amazing. 1 or 2, you're absolutely efficient. 1 or 2 takes done. Yeah, Matt Damon tells that story, doesn't he? And he asked him for an extra take. Why do you need that? You know, you got it. You know,
yeah. I think I interviewed one of the stuntmen on. I think it was Iwo Jima, and he's supposed to
Right.
just come along, get shot, and lay on the floor.
Yeah.
And then Clint, he said, "How was that, Clint?" I said, "What do you want me to do?" And he said, "I want you to go run across there, get shot, and fall on the floor." And he said, and Clint says, "That's the best directing I've ever done."
Tom Hanks always says he never says cut. He just says, "That's enough of that now."
Yes, and if he's very quiet and gives you the Dirty Harry look, you know you've done something wrong. But because they say don't meet your heroes. I haven't experienced anything bad about that yet. I guess you don't have to name names, but
no, I've never. There is a danger. I get that, and I think when you become a journalist, you do sort of have heroes, but another part of your brain sort of comes into focus where you've got to get a piece. You've got to get something from this. You're not going to interview them for your own good, your own health, and your own excitement. It's not. It's not a meet and greet. You've got a job to do, and I think that comes out. And you sort of get into it, and they're giving you good stuff. That's the joy. And I've got on really well with people. I've not got on quite so well with some others, not because they were difficult. Just maybe they don't enjoy the process sometimes.
Yeah,
and. I was taught very early on by a publisher who said, they're never going to be your friends. You're not going to be on a Christmas card list. And that doesn't mean to say you don't get on with people or they're not nice to you or they're not professional. And 80% of the time they really are. And sometimes they are kind enough to pretend to remember me, but once you know that, you're not going to be their friend. That's not the point of this interaction. It gets you past it. It gets you into another place. There's still a little part of your brain going, be nice to them, be funny. You and him would get on so well.
Yeah, and the pints later.
I mean, like George Clooney was so charming and easy to talk to. There was a little part of my brain going, me and George could be best friends. Yeah.
All right, bye, George. I'll see you later. Okay, yeah, okay.
Well, later, we'll have a drink, we'll have cocktails, we'll just talk about stuff. Never happened. But I still cherish the interview I did with him, and I think I've done it twice actually. But so you do meet your heroes, and sometimes it's it is great and exciting. They are you meet extraordinary people. I've lived such a privileged life thus far. But there's a professional side to it as well, in which you have to remember you have a job to do. And Kurt Russell was fantastic. As I said, I had to get him in front of the camera. I had to get that going because that's what I needed, and that's what the documentary needed. And I was very conscious of that. And I needed him not to have his energy wasted chit-chatting with me and the producers. I wanted him talking, to the camera, and I think if you're good at your job, and the writers on Empire and all the people I know are very good at their job, you get into that, and you even take pride in getting stuff out of people and take pride in it being a professional transaction and enjoying that part of the process. And it's about, you start to write the piece in your head as you're doing the interview. You start to hear great quotes and you're like, that's going in, and that's a great pleasure in that. But it is a transaction, and it's quite a weird transaction as well if you think about it, because it's a very sort of personal thing where you're not friends, you're actually kind of weirdly strangers in some way, and you could go in and have this intimate chat and then depart and sometimes never see each other again.
Well, yes. Not for the Christmas party, but
you never get invited to.
All these people in Hollywood, and not one Christmas party.
Not one Christmas party.
So I was just thinking just then, because you mentioned, we talked about Aliens, The Thing, Terminator 1 and 2, and they're 30, 40 years ago. Do you think anyone will be making documentaries about the films like in another 30, 40 years now?
We did we've sort of done assessments on, when is it appropriate to do an expanded, what films fit the bill, what does fandom want, what does the market, the audience want, and you realize that it needs to have a degree of time to be classic, to be owned by people.
Right.
That seems to be around the 40-year mark. Seems to be one of those things. If you go older, if you go 50, 60 years, you've got this problem that most people involved have probably passed on now. Plus, it feels a bit more venerable. You might, you could probably still do Jaws or, some of the kind of the 70s greats, maybe The Shining was early 80s, but you can't go any further back because you're sort of being a bit more academic and a bit more about sort of admiring the kind of ancientness of these films. But if you come the other way, it gets harder as well because the films haven't quite earned their place. They're still cooking. And ISOD, In Search of Darkness series that Creative VC, the company I work for, also do. They brought it right up to the end of the 90s now. That is as modern, I think, as they can get for the time being. Because they realize that you cross the boundary of 2000 and it just doesn't feel, it feels too new still. I mean, it's 25 years, 26 years, but it doesn't, psychologically, it just doesn't fit.
Last week.
Very weird. So, you need a sort of a good amount of time. And so I suppose projecting forward, would there be films right now that would be worthy of a similar kind of documentary treatment? Quite possibly, but time has got to make its judgment. Only time will tell us whether these films gain this kind of second life, third life that the likes of Aliens and The Thing and Blade Runner and all these kind of films has had. If you ask me personally, I've not. Maybe it's because I'm not 16 or 15 anymore watching a VHS, but I haven't seen anything that. It's not that I've not seen anything good. I have seen plenty of good films. It's just I haven't seen anything I think will have the same effect on fans and culture that those films, like The Thing and Aliens have done. There was something about the 80s. There was something about that time and the way we watched it and the way film consumption changed around it. I don't think the Avatar films will
mention that. No,
same way maybe as Aliens. I don't know. I think you may get fans out there who are hugely into them. I mean, they're so enormously successful. Clearly, that people are very devoted to them. And maybe I'm showing my age in the fact that I don't quite get them as well as I do Aliens or the Terminators. But I don't know. I think time will tell on certain things, and maybe we will come back and look at certain science fiction horror genre films that of the 2000s and the late 2000s and go, well, that deserves the analysis, that deserves the in-depth treatment.
Exactly. Right. We'll take a few questions from the chat in a minute, but I'm going to quiz you on some of your reviews.
Oh, no. You're not still holding me responsible for
I am.
Oh, no.
You give Aliens and what was it? The Matrix 5 stars. But what did you give these films? If I give you the name of a film and you just tell me what stars you think you gave.
You're going to show me up, are you? Okay.
I am, yes. You critics think you know everything.
Oh, I don't.
Young Guns from 1988.
Oh, God, Young Guns. Right. It must have been a DVD review or
it was like
it must have been back of the mag.
Yeah.
I'm saying either 3 or 4.
2 stars.
Well, I've had a bad day, clearly. Miserable of me.
Yeah, it's not Young Guns 2, it's Young Guns.
Gosh. I would definitely give that 3 now.
Let me look it up. I'll read the whole review for you. Then you can make it.
Oh, no.
No. Ladyhawk from 1985.
Yeah, I'm a Ladyhawk advocate.
Okay.
So, there are very few of us out there.
There are.
Thus making Ladyhawk Expanded unlikely, as much as I would love to do it. I think I gave that 4.
You did?
Yeah. And I do like that film. It's probably a little bit.
I used to love it as a kid. I need to give it a rewatch. It's been a
It's
while.
it's been a while since I've seen it. But I think I read the novelization of that as well when it came out. So
nice. The 13th Warrior from 1999.
yeah, see, I'm another advocate of this. You know, I forget those guilty pleasure questions.
Yes.
But I don't. For me, I don't think 13th Warrior is a guilty pleasure. I'm not guilty about it at all. I think it's, you know, narratively it gets a bit woolly at the end. I'll grant you who the foes are exactly.
Yeah,
are they supernatural or not? That's a bit woolly. But there's stuff I just love in that. And, you know, I'm very partial to a Viking film. And I think they are the best movie Vikings we've had. They look tough, those Vikings.
Yeah, they were.
You know, they look genuinely like they grew up in fierce winters. They're huge. And, yeah, they just look like they'd always been heavy metal bands. And
yes.
And I just think, you know, he's got the Seven Samurai thing going on. They're defending the outpost. And that kind of thing where they all make the kind of I will die in Valhalla. Who doesn't like that stuff, you know? And there's a great bit where Antonio Banderas can't lift the sword. It's too heavy for him. And he goes, I can't lift it. And the guy just goes, get stronger. You know? Like, yeah. And instead he turns it into like a scimitar. Yeah. You know, honestly. I give that film 5 stars instantly now. Right. I probably gave it 4, didn't I, in the review? 3. I think someone came in and
someone just typed off.
Yeah. You were an editor at the time. So no, I'm removing that.
All right. American Sniper from 2015.
Did I get that 4?
You did?
Again, yeah, Clint. And I think I remember being, you know, quite pro it. And then all this kind of controversy hit. And it was all a bit like, you know, and I was a bit like, gosh, I didn't really see that. I didn't see all this kind of.
No, I didn't see it either. I've heard people complaining about a baby shot. It's like,
yeah, I mean, it's just
it's nothing. It's
not
part of the story.
He just want to have a live baby ruining his shot. So he just has a rather sort of wobbly looking rubber one.
And now that's all people remember is the controversy in the baby.
But I was quite moved by the film, you know, and. Yeah, and the fact that when you hear the coda and you look what happened to him, you think, God. And I like the fact it was kind of a bit of a Western in some ways, you know, the 2 shooters and I very much was into it. And then all this kind of controversy hit, sort of saying, oh, is it right wing this? Is it advocating this? No, it's like, gosh. Sometimes I see different films to other people. I don't know what it is.
Like, I don't know what you're seeing, but it's
I was very
film about this,
and I haven't seen it again since. But I still think it's a strong movie. You know, I don't think there's this big agenda with it. But other people might have very different opinions. But I stand by. If you take out whatever you think the politics might be of that film, it's still tremendously well made and acted and put together. You know, it's not a dud film.
Army of Darkness from 1993.
Gosh, 93. That obviously got to be back of the mag again. Did I give it 3?
You did.
Yes. It's another film I haven't seen for a long time. I wonder whether it's a bit creaky these days. If I look closer. It's not held up like the other Evil Deads.
No. It is complete opposite.
I remember, I think it might be one of those things where I just wanted it to be great, and I just willed it.
The Medieval Dead, which it should have been called, but
and it wasn't quite what it should have been.
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever. Let me remember. That's the third
one. Yeah, Val Kilmer.
The Kilmer one. Is that 4 or 3?
3.
3. Yeah, I remember I covered that. I went out and interviewed loads of people for it, and I remember quite liking it. I don't think it's high watermark in superhero films or anything, but I remember really liking Jim Carrey's Riddler and liking its kind of flamboyance. I think if you look back on it, probably Val Kilmer's probably a little, forgettable as Batman, whereas the villains do their thing, and there's a certain kind of campness to it, which I often quite enjoy in a superhero film before they start taking themselves so seriously. I really like Batman Returns, the Burton.
Oh, I love, Burton
that's
a Christmas watch.
Wonderful fairy tale of a film, kind of got horror and it's got superheroes, all these kind of lovely things going on in it.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, just great stuff. And then that to me was what a superhero film should kind of be. And then, I know people adore all the Christopher Nolan ones and all that, and they just got so self-important. And I got rather kind of, it's not a genre I'm particularly into. And now it's just like I'm just kind of a bit lost with it. I'm a bit like, what's this one? Have I seen it already? Haven't all the same things happening? But,
Yes.
so maybe I don't know how Batman Forever's lasted, but I remember it being all right. I'm not saying it was a 5-star, classic forever, but
Get your happy meal and go watch it.
Yeah, it comes on telly and you're sitting there, can't be bothered to reach the remote control. You're like, all right, you go with it.
Sea of Love from '89 with Al Pacino, his comeback after Revolution.
Yeah, it's a big return, wasn't it? I'm saying 4. It must be 4, this one.
It was 4 stars.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's good, of the kind they don't make so much anymore. That kind of very sort of lean adult, crime thriller that's, it's full of good actors, and it's got John Goodman in it, hasn't it? It's the kind of partner, and it's kind of like, it's like the grown-up Basic Instinct, isn't it? Is it her or is it not her? It's the kind of, it's the riff.
I think it's a strong movie.
Yeah, I think that stands up.
Midnight Run in '88.
Did I give this? I remember writing a review, maybe Midnight Run, and actually being complained at by fellow staff for being down on it. Did I read 3?
You actually gave it 4 stars. So
I did. All right,
listening.
Because it's one of those films that people love, and I didn't quite get it why people loved it quite as much as they did. Then I did see it again for some reason. I can't remember what reason I needed to look at it again, and was a bit more like, I'm starting to get it now. I had the charm of it. Charles Grodin, he's just fantastic in it. So I'm glad I gave it 4 now, looking back. But there are people I know who would give it nailed on 5, who think it's one of those great.
It is very well made compared to Geely, anyway.
Oh, certainly.
Right, so we've agreed, scrapping the Terminator nonsense. We'll just do a Midnight Run.
Midnight Run expanded
instead.
I'm going to do 13th Warrior expanded. I think that's the
see, a lot better ideas.
Don't get all those Vikings back together. I mean, who's not up for that?
One more. Another 48 Hours in 1990.
Oh, right. Another 48 hours. So
yes.
I'm probably 3.
2.
2. That's probably true, actually, isn't it? It was a bit wham like that.
Bit samey.
It's just a bit like you couldn't, the magic didn't come back. As much as we wanted it to.
Well, yes. Eddie Murphy had done, what was it? The period gangster piece where he wrote, directed.
Oh, Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights.
Yeah.
And then didn't do well, so he had to come back with a sequel.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The first one was so fresh, and it had that kind of edginess that maybe Beverly Hills Cop didn't. And I think it was terrific, and they just couldn't quite recapture it. But,
some questions here. I see. Have you interviewed Verhoeven at all? I'd love to speak to Paul Verhoeven. He's my number 1 director.
I had a great interview with Paul Verhoeven. I interviewed him about we used to do a thing. I think we still do. The story of a scene in Empire.
Okay, yes.
And
you chose Basic Instinct's interrogation scene, I see, for some reason.
We did interrogation. We did the famous crossing of her legs. And Verhoeven was just wonderful. He just like, and I only had about sort of 500 words, to do in the mag, and I could have written 3,000 with what he gave me. He was in this whole thing about it's about religion, and she's the devil, and and these wonderful things. And I just said, look, I just want to clear this up off the cuff.
Oh yeah.
Do we see what we think we see? And he just said yes and shouted out, it's vagina, in that vulgar way. And I said, okay, glad we got that cleared up. And I did this wonderful interview all through this. And he said, she threw some pants she had obviously wearing when she wasn't on camera. She threw them at him. It's kind of, that's it, it's done. And I never asked him whether he still had them. But he was a fantastic interview, and it has really great takes on things. You know, he totally understood reading into it, and you know, the Hitchcockian elements, and full of praise for how brilliant she was. You know, he just said that's about how good she is. You know, controlling the room and sort of the power and the manipulation. And he says, you just watch that again, and she is mesmerizing. You know, it's not about the kind of risque element of it.
No,
it's much more about the compelling performance of Sharon Stone.
Yeah, I saw it on release. I think it's just me and a group of other single men in a UCI in an afternoon, all dotted around the screen. The Dirty Mac Brigade, of course. Fazook says, you did a great interview on the Jaws 50th anniversary. It's one of his favorite movies.
Oh, yeah. I did for the Jaws, Daily Jaws.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a book about Spielberg a few years ago, well, not about 2-3 years ago. And it was just extraordinary to go and just tackle Jaws, which I've sort of written around and done stuff on, but to just get to grips with it and try and say something new. It's just an incredible story, Jaws. And, you know, how you capture, you know, triumph out of absolute disaster, you know, sinking ship, you know, in some ways, literally. And that, you know, genius is not about something I think that's pre-planned. I don't think genius doesn't sort of strategize. The genius sort of happens. And I think Spielberg is a genius because he sort of took this chaos and fashioned, you know, a film for the ages out of it, and realized that not seeing the shark was so powerful and extraordinary that John Williams gave him the shark in musical terms. And really, so once you don't have a shark, what you have is 3 actors that then are given the room to create characters that you absolutely kind of mesmerized and excited by. And, you know, and I remember finishing this piece I wrote in my book, just saying that I hope they never, ever remake it or ever put CGI in it, because I want the shark to be like the shark is. You know, it's part of how I engage with that film.
Yeah,
you know, the weird crashing, flopping onto the deck. And yes, I suppose it looks dated, but it also looks weird. And I think that weird is a good quality. It's kind of like, I like the strangeness at the end of Jaws, you know, but yeah, it's an astonishing film.
Have you seen the stage play based on?
Not with Robert Shaw's son, isn't it?
That's it, yeah, the son.
Yeah, looking uncannily like his father. Yeah, it's there's so much. I mean, we could do an expanded doc on Jaws easily, you know, the Indianapolis speech, all the elements that he would discuss.
Because what's it, 50 years, there's been at least 1,000 shark films, and then there's about 3 worth watching.
Yes.
It's hard to fathom.
Yeah, but the Jaws doesn't date, you know. It's just got, because you don't see things for a lot of it. It has this wonderful timeless quality about, well, it works as a thriller right now.
Yeah,
mobile phones don't make any difference. All that kind of modern stuff. It's just, this is the story, and it's just terrifically well done.
Yeah, because I think I first saw it probably. I think it's like it used to be on like ITV on a Sunday afternoon or something ridiculous, and it was like uncut as well, so all the gore was still there, but it's still a PG film anyway. So
yeah,
it's crazy times.
Mad.
Let's have a look at this. It's a couple more, and then I'll let you go. It's getting late in the UK. Did you talk about the alternate ending of the thing where MacReady gets rescued?
Yes, we did talk about the alternative ending. That was filmed. He's not necessarily rescued. Basically, they did a safety shot because they worried about the studio, in which they filmed MacReady in what seems to be a hospital. No other characters around him, sitting on the end, having a blood test done. And that's it. That's all it was. It was a camera down a corridor, coming across MacReady, still wrapped in his kind of ice gear.
Okay.
No sign of Childs, no mention of Childs, sitting on a bed with a blood test going on, and you hear sort of chopper sounds and voices in the background. I don't know, yeah. And John hated it. John Carpenter hated it. The producer hated it. The editor hated it. And they all said, and they never showed it to Universal. Yeah, they never told them it had happened. They said, right, we're just going to fight for the ending we've got. And thank God they did, So, yes, we do discuss it. But I'm glad they never, put it in. And I don't think anyone's ever seen it. It's not cropped up on a DVD or an extra. It's not. It's not
locked or binned, like all the stuff that came out back in the day. Just never need that.
Yeah.
Crazy times. Have you seen the theory where it's passed around in the bottle of the JB?
Yeah, I know that one. And we do mention that one. But I think you look at that scene, you watch it, and it's just McCready with the whiskey. He's just staggering, knows he's dying. And he's just found a whiskey and he just wants to drink it. Yeah, I don't think it's his local cocktail. And it's thing can't drink petrol or doesn't realize it's petrol. Or I just think a lot of these things are projected onto it, and Carpenter just wasn't thinking like that. I think he just wanted the scene as it is, and that's all it was.
Yeah. It's like that Shining documentary, what's it called? Room 237.
Room 237.
It starts up all right, and then it just goes off on tangents of it's the Holocaust because of the typewriter changes color and. All right, let's let Ian go. So yes, thanks for your question there, Rodent, and thank you, Ian. Good point there. Right,
thank you.
That's exactly it. So yes, where's the link? It's in the chat. It's in the description. It's everywhere. It's the campaign's going for another few weeks. So, but
until the 24th of March. So stay pre-order. So it's not forever. So if you're keen, get going. And we are, as I say, we're just finishing it up now. It's looking good. All the stuff we've been talking about tonight, it's all going to stay in there. It's all there to be seen. So if you're into the thing, and the documentary assumes that you might be, if you watch it, then it's it's just a treasure chest of stuff.
It's the company by now, so the standard it's up to.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean just reminded me the blow up doll that is mentioned a lot in the book.
Yeah, we got a picture in there. I did ask her about that. He had no memory. He thought it was an in joke behind the scenes. He didn't think it was a shot from the movie.
Right.
But he couldn't remember exactly where the doll figured or how it figured.
Yeah, it's in the book as his private cabin and stuff like that. And
it's probably this is kind of riff throughout of they remind you that women aren't there. So you get the chess computer and you get the game show on video with the woman in it. You get all these kind of pictures on the walls of sort of semi-clad women. Mm-hmm. So there's this constant reminder that they're without a female presence, and it's not doing them any good, not helping things,
Yeah. Well, it's another thing in the book. He calls the chess machine a cheating bastard in the book. Not
right, yeah. I think that was an ad lib, the kind of cheating bitch.
Because what's it? Jamie Lee Curtis's voice, isn't it?
No, it's Adrian Barbeau's.
Oh, Adrian Barbeau. I knew it. One of them. I was trying to think of which one it was. Then wife. Yes.
He probably just said, "Do you mind doing this for me?" Yeah.
Just say this. Nice. Right. That'll do for now. Then. So,
Jamie Lee Curtis is the voice of the computer in Escape from New York, isn't she? I think.
That's it. I knew it.
Yeah.
She done one of them. There you go.
Yeah.
Right. So thanks, Ian, and thanks everyone for joining us. And check out the documentary as soon as you can. Order it because you're going to seeing a lot of stuff about on social media about that. But anyway,
all right,
and
thank you.
See you on the other side of this, Ian. 1 second.
Here endeth the lesson.